YouTube, y'all become with urban legends that turned out to be true. Listen, I'm a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie. Listen. I'll keep it a whole 100 on here. I'm a little nervous, but listen, we grown men, we grown women. Some of y'all look kids, but listen, let's lock in. Let's go ahead and just focus. Let's just get our mind right, meditate a little bit. Let's go ahead and get to the welcome new people, new subscribers up.
West Hobart Haunted House.
Oh shit.
West Hobart is an inner-city suburb located in Tasmania, Australia. Over the years, dozens of allegations of supposed hauntings, ghost apparitions, and other paranormal activity have been made by tourists and residents of West Hobart. And it's honestly not too hard to see why, as West Hobart is a pretty old town with a generally creepy vibe.
That shit do look
As is usually the case, most of these stories have either turned out to be fake, or the people making the allegations didn't have enough evidence to support their claims, which makes it almost entirely likely that they're hoaxes. But as it turns out, at least one of these stories actually has some amount of truth to it. Back in the late 80s and mid-90s, rumors started spreading of a house in West Hobart that was apparently so haunted it drove its residents insane. At first, the rumors created a huge buzz all over town, with the locals doing everything possible to stay far away from the alleged haunted house. It wasn't until months later that the authorities got involved and finally got a clear picture of the situation. While it was true that the house's residents appeared to be going insane, it didn't have anything to do with paranormal activity, but with the fact that a datura vine had been growing through the trees directly above the home and dropping leaves into the family's rainwater tank.
Wow.
For a long time, the family had been inadvertently consuming microdoses of the plant every single day, which made them slowly but surely start to lose their sanity as they sank further and further into delirium.
What the?
In case you've never heard of it, datura is a species of plant within the nightshade family, also known as Jimson weed, the devil's weed, or devil's trumpet, and you'll see why in a second. Even though
Why do they have so many things with the devil name in it? What about the Jesus plant? the Christ apple or something? Y'all be having the most demonic names for flower, for just anything. Y'all, yeah, where's the Jesus, the Christ, the Buddha? Like, where's any of that at?
The plant itself looks pretty harmless. It's known for having extremely powerful hallucinogenic properties, which is why it was used for centuries by Native American tribes in coming-of-age rituals and other important ceremonies. The Aztecs also used datura as a painkiller in certain rituals, namely in ritual sacrifices, and it's also commonly used as an ingredient in the ritual of zombification in the Haitian voodoo religion, where it's referred to as the devil's cucumber. As you can probably tell by now, datura isn't your typical recreative hallucinogen, and there's a reason why it's really only ever used in hardcore spiritual rituals and ceremonies, and sometimes by naive people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into. In low to medium doses, datura causes extremely distressing, delirious experiences, and in higher doses it can lead to paralysis and even death.
Wow.
Nowadays, datura is recognized by most tribes as a highly toxic and dangerous plant, and have understandably stopped using it. Before we move on, I wanted to take a minute to talk about War Thunder, the sponsor of this video. As of recently,
hey, you smooth. I can't hold you smooth for throwing an ad in the very beginning, but listen, you know what we came here for.
Cropsey. If you were to somehow go back to the 70s and spend some time in Staten Island, it probably wouldn't take you long to hear about an urban legend of a man named Cropsey. As the story went, Cropsey was a serial kidnapper and killer who lost his son and resorted to stealing other—
I'm sorry, bruh. To be known as a serial kidnapper is crazy. Bro, that is crazy. That's a crazy title to have. Bro, you know he a serial kidnapper, bro. You gotta watch out. Like, what the fuck? Wait, so he lost his kid? Hold on.
Cropsey was a serial kidnapper and killer who lost his son and resorted to stealing other people's children to deal with his grief. According to the legend, Cropsey also had a hook for a hand—
What the fuck? That's it? My bad. Yeah, we're not gonna pause, bro. We're gonna hear this whole story out, because what the fuck?
As the story went, Cropsey was a serial kidnapper and killer who lost his son and resorted to stealing other people's children to deal with his grief. According to the legend, Cropsey also had a hook for a hand, scars, burns, and open wounds covering his entire face.
Oh, he can't do nothing. He got a hook for a hand?
generally horrifying appearance. Considering the mass areas of uninhabited woodlands, it's not all that unexpected that a tale like the legend of Cropsey would make it into the mainstream culture at some point. Unfortunately, this wasn't just a tall tale made up by Staten Island parents to keep their kids from venturing too far into the woods and getting lost. Although the legend has some obviously made-up elements, such as the hooked hand and the horrifying scars and burns, at some point in the early 70s, children in Staten Island really did start disappearing. That's when the line between legend and reality started to blur, and the story of the real Cropsey immediately replaced the urban legend. This is the real story. Andre Rand was a man from Manhattan who was born in 1944 and moved to Staten Island in the late 60s. After working for 2 years at the infamously brutal Willowbrook State School for Children with Disabilities, Rand was arrested in 1969 and served over a year in prison for the attempted attack of a 9-year-old girl. As soon as he was released 16 months later, reports started cropping up of more little girls disappearing all over Staten Island, including 5-year-old Alice Pereira, who was playing in her building's lobby when she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Over the next decade, Rand was the prime suspect in the disappearances and deaths of several other young girls in the area. But it wasn't until 1983 when he picked up 11 kids from a local YMCA and brought them fast food before taking them to the airport that he was finally arrested and sentenced.
11 kids? His ass kids, he gave them all meals and he was finna get, oh my god. He was going for like the hit list of the year. Nigga was trying to do a full sweep. My God, 11. Nigga, Jesus.
To 10 months in prison
What was
again.
on timing?
Throughout the 70s and 80s, dozens of young kids disappeared in Staten Island, and although Rand was often the last person to be seen with them, there was ultimately never enough evidence to put him away for a long time.
Wow.
For many years, he would often be seen hanging around young kids, going on walks with them, and even taking them to lunch and dinner with him at local restaurants. After years of letting him walk the streets as a free man, police would finally have a breakthrough in the case in 1987 when they found undeniable evidence that Rand had been behind the disappearance and murder of Jennifer Schweiger, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome. In 1988, he was sentenced.
This nigga's a weirdo, boy. He taking kids with Down syndrome too, bro. This nigga don't got no morals. Like, nigga said everybody on the list, bro. And listen, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just like, nigga, why, bro? Like, nigga, you ain't got, bro. My question be like, what do y'all do for work, bro? Like, y'all just like, what do y'all have time? Like, y'all got a family? Like, what do y'all be doing, bro? Like, come on, bro. What?
Sentenced to 25 years to life, and while he was behind bars, more and more evidence was found that tied him to several other disappearances in Staten Island in the 70s and 80s. Unfortunately, he was only charged with one additional major crime in 2004, which was the kidnapping of Holly Ann Hughes, thanks to which he will spend the next 13 years behind bars until 2037. If he lives that long, he'll be 93 by the time he gets out.
Hell no, don't let that nigga out, man. No, do not let, bro, some people don't need to be let out, bro. He's one of them. Do not let him out, bro. Keep him in there.
The Maine Hermit.
What the hell? Keep him in there.
The Kennebec Valley is one of the most beautiful regions in Maine, with over 5,000 square miles of forests, rolling hills, and natural paradise surrounding the Kennebec River.
Fire, can't lie.
Many cabin owners of the North Pond area in the Kennebec Valley have described the area as the most peaceful place on Earth. But it hasn't always been that way. All throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, there were reports of over 1,000 break-ins in the North Pond cabins.
1,000?
For decades, nobody knew who was responsible for the thefts, especially since they were always carried out when there was no one home.
Ooh.
As the cabin owners soon noticed, the break-ins seemed to follow a pattern, always peaking in the days before Memorial Day and after Labor Day.
Interesting.
As for the stolen items themselves, they ranged from food, to cooking utensils, to books, to propane tanks, to toiletries of all kinds.
This nigga not even stealing
In
nothing
the absence of a
valuable.
concrete suspect, the locals eventually
Besides
named
food.
the
Food is
thief
very
the
valuable.
North
I
Pond
killed her.
Hermit, even though by this point there was nothing to suggest the break-ins were being carried out by a single person. Although it wasn't uncommon for groups of homeowners to venture out into the woods to try to find the North Pond Hermit, they never found a trace, which only added to the legend's mystery. One afternoon in 2002, 100 people attended a North Pond homeowners meeting, and when someone asked how many of them had suffered break-ins, almost all of them raised their hands.
Damn.
As you can probably get,
Yo, Nick, bro, imagine calling a town meeting and it's like, how many of y'all have got y'all house broken into? And damn near everybody raised their hand? That's scary. And you know what's even crazier? What if the niggas in the room that's doing it, he like, That nigga's funny. Bro, that nigga's funny.
As the North Pond
That's
Hermit quickly
top
turned into somewhat of a
comedic moment of all
boogeyman, with the
time.
legend frequently
He
being
like,
shared over
"Me
campfires in
too."
the area. For years, nobody thought that the person or
What?
people behind the break-ins would ever be found. But in April 2013, a man named Christopher Thomas Knight was arrested in the middle of the woods in the North Pond area by an officer who...
Man, that's why these niggas ain't being caught. Look at this nigga, man. This nigga be eating good. Nigga, how the hell? I ain't gonna lie. He either he like this or like just like I don't know. He look like he like muscle like huge. But yeah, you might not want to fuck with that nigga. I ain't gonna cap.
made it his sole mission to bring the thief to justice. As soon as he was brought to the police station, the cops asked him why he wasn't answering any of their questions. At first, it seemed as though he was having trouble speaking, but eventually he responded that he was ashamed of himself. As it was later revealed, Christopher had been living out in the middle of the woods by himself in an unheated nylon tent, surviving only on the things he stole from nearby North Pond cabins. Shockingly, he had survived winter temperatures of 20 degrees below zero for years and hadn't been to a doctor or taken any medicine for 3 decades.
Wow.
What's most incredible about the hermit's story is that for the entire time he lived in the woods, he didn't have a single conversation with another human being, except for one time when he ran into a hiker and only said hi. Understandably, Chris had lost interest in keeping track of time, so when he was asked how long he had been in the woods by himself, he replied, since the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown, which took place in 1986. As investigators later found out, he was 20 years old when he decided to become a hermit, just a couple of years after high school, although he never gave the authorities a real reason why he decided to disappear. In all his years of isolation, he went to extreme lengths to preserve his privacy. He never lit fires, only moved at night, and hadn't had any kind of communication with the rest of society for more than half of his life.
Wow.
He'd never driven a car, sent an email, or even known what the internet was until his arrest.
Why?
Interestingly, as the cops dug deeper and deeper into his story, they realized that his only real possessions were his glasses, which he had been wearing for 30 years and could even be seen in his Lawrence High School yearbook picture from 1984.
Nigga, your prescription didn't change, nigga. Come on now. Nigga, for 30, 40, bro, 30, wait, 3 decades. That's 30 years. Do you mean to tell me your prescription didn't change not one?
Everything else, down to his underwear and jacket, had been stolen.
How's you washing the underwear? You can't even... Just continue.
After the investigation, Knight was sentenced to 7 months in prison, after which he once again disappeared. According to the cops, he's now living a...
Why would y'all put him in jail for 7 months? Of course you just gonna go back to disappear.
A quiet, peaceful life in rural Maine.
He just disappears like that.
Purple Akee. Throughout the late 1980s and 90s, rumors of a massive bodybuilder called Purple Akee began to surface in the northwest of England.
Oh, that's him?
According to the allegations, Purple Akee would supposedly walk the streets of Liverpool hunting down young muscular men and rugby players and oddly ask them if he would let them feel their muscles. If they complied, he would allegedly squeeze their muscles for much longer than was considered socially acceptable and would then ask them to perform squats so he could feel their quad muscles. Some teenagers reported that Purple Akee even went as far as to ask them to pose for him, and often offered exercise and nutrition advice.
Oh God, I'll be cooked. Nigga, I just flexed earlier. I'm flexing technically now on accident. He was like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, I'll be scared as shit. I'm like, ah. I'm like, no, don't take me. Wait, what the fuck is a McCrispy? Wait, what the fuck? Hold on. Forget what I'm talking about. What is a McCrispy? Wait, bro, what the? Wait, y'all got McCrispies where y'all at? We ain't got no McCrispies. What the fuck? A McCrispy Deluxe. That shit look crazy. We gotta make chickens. Boy, that's a boy, what the? But y'all know I'm big as hell. I'm talking, bro. They talking about some deep shit. I'm over here looking at the McCrispy. But yo, that look crazy. They got cheese on it. That might be bacon. That's a big piece of lettuce. And look at the bun. They got a little. I don't know if that's from like the like the poster like kind of getting crumpled up, but it got lines in it, and it got okay. What is that? I might need to pull up after this nigga done gone though. I'm about to wear a jacket or something, cause he ain't gonna catch me lacking. Talk about let me fill up all your muscles, young man. Like, hey, I see you got pants on. Do you do squats? No, sir. No.
As for those who gave him the time. Because the rumors were so incredibly ridiculous, nobody really took them too seriously at first, and eventually the story of Purple Aki turned into an urban legend, with crazy details being gradually added to the tale. Including one where Purple Aki would allegedly swallow teenagers whole if they let him feel their muscles. But as time went on, it became clear that Purple Aki wasn't just a made-up character created by bored teenagers looking to get some laugh from their friends, but a real person named Akinwul Arobic. Aki was often seen traveling across England by train carrying a plastic bag and asking young men if he could feel their muscles.
Why?
Naturally, this made a lot of people uncomfortable, and it wasn't uncommon for Aki's face to be featured in local newspapers after several encounters with the law. Most of the accusations against him were related to his creepy behavior around teenage boys, but around 1986, the story of Purple Aki took a really dark turn. Early that year, 16-year-old Gary Keller was walking home from school when he ran into Purple Aki, who immediately asked to feel his muscles. Freaked out by the weird request, Gary said no and ran away. Later that same year, Aki followed Gary to a local outdoor swimming pool, and when the teenager noticed, he ran to New Brighton train station and jumped onto the railroad tracks to get away from Aki. Sadly, the story ended in tragedy, as Gary was accidentally electrocuted by one of the rails.
Wow.
Considering the whole thing happened because Gary was being chased, Purple Aki was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, charged with harassing 14 different teenage boys, and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison.
Wow.
In 1988, Aki filed an appeal and complained that the only reason he had been convicted was because he was black. Ultimately, the judges agreed there wasn't enough evidence to prove Aki had been directly responsible for Gary's death, and believe it or not, he was freed and awarded £35,000 in compensation. Between 1988 and 2006, Aki went in and out of jail for failing to resist his compulsion to touch, feel, and measure other people's muscles. And in 2003, he was arrested for an additional 15 charges of harassment and witness intimidation.
I don't know, maybe he a cool dude, I guess. It's just weird that you walking around like, what is this movement? What is this? Like, what are you doing that? Like, why? Like I can see if he was like a trainer, like maybe you should get into training if you really just wanna, if you just really fascinated with like the bodybuilders and things of that nature. Maybe you should just get into training or something. I don't know. And then train, like you get the, I don't know. I'm not gonna get this nigga no ideas. Never mind. Don't, Purple Aki, if you watch this video, do not do that, nigga. I was thinking out loud. No, never mind.
For which he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Just like any other predator, he was also forbidden from waiting outside schools in the area.
This nigga was waiting outside of... Nah, he's wild.
A few months later, he was jailed for 15 months for getting up to his same antics. Upon his release, he was once again arrested a few weeks later in 2010, and then again in 2015. After his latest release, he reportedly moved to Leeds, where rumors started cropping up that he had passed away during the pandemic. Wow. However, those rumors were put to rest when videos started surfacing in 2023 of Aki walking the streets of Leeds asking random dudes to, you guessed it, feel their muscles.
Oh my god, bro.
As of today, Purple Aki is alive and well, and will probably continue in his same behavior with or without permission for many years to come.
I guess, bro. This nigga.
Late Loyan. According to a Swiss urban legend, people have allegedly been running into a mysterious human-like figure in the Fribourg forest in the western part of the country near the town of Mons since the early 2000s. Based on the dozens of allegations that surfaced over the years, the figure has been described as being around 6 feet tall and always wearing a vintage-looking gas mask covering his entire face, a boiler suit, and a cloak. Most people who supposedly ran into the figure reported he or she was completely harmless, but this didn't make the encounters any less terrifying, and it wasn't uncommon for people to report the figure to the police when their children reported feeling scared. As expected, it didn't take local residents long to start adding their own crazy twist to the story, with some claiming that the creature was the ghost of a mentally unstable soldier, while other popular theories assured it was an alien. For a while, the story was classified as an urban legend, and the mysterious humanoid was given the name Lei Loyan, also known as the Ghost or the Hermit of Malls. Throughout the early 2000s, Lei Loyan was mostly the subject of local oral legend because there was no real evidence to support its existence. But in 2013, the story gained international attention when the Swiss/French newspaper Le Matin published the first ever photograph of Lei Loyan, which was sent in by a hiker.
What the fuck?
After the photograph was published, there was no...
That nigga ain't no damn 6 feet. That nigga about 8, maybe 9. That boy is taller than a motherfucker. They ain't no... Boy, that's 6 feet. Boy, I'm 3'2".
Turning back, as people from all over the country started to make trips to the woods outside malls for a chance to catch a glimpse of Lei Loyan. The last known sighting of Lei Loyan took place in June 2013 when a local woman named Marianne Desclous saw the figure clutching a bunch of flowers as she was walking outside. Later that year, Lei Loyan's clothes were found in the middle of the woods along with a wooden note titled "The Death Certificate and Will of the Ghost des Malls." In the letter, Lei Loyan accused the media of having murdered a harmless being by revealing its existence and turning him into a circus freak.
Wow.
The letter also mentioned that due to the unwanted attention, Lei Loyan had to abandon its daily walks, which were referred to as happiness therapy in the letter. After the cryptic note was published in the newspaper, many people concluded that Lei Loyan had taken its own life, although this has never been confirmed.
What?
As of 2024, nobody has ever seen Lei Loyan's true face, and many people have theorized that the figure was possibly a woman with a facial disfiguration who didn't want people to see her, which is supposedly why she wore the gas mask. But this line of reasoning will probably remain unconfirmed forever.
That was dark. That was
the Bunny Man.
This can't be good. The nigga name is the Bunny Man? What type of shit? What the fuck? Bunny Man?
In the early 70s, dozens of locals started reporting that a man dressed up as a bunny had started haunting the residential neighborhoods around DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia. Although dressing up as a bunny in itself seems pretty harmless, what made the encounter a little scarier was that the guy would allegedly threaten children on the street with an axe and frequently vandalize people's property for no apparent reason. Even though sightings of the so-called Bunny Man were pretty rare, they seemed to follow a pattern, as the man usually appeared in secluded locations where there weren't a lot of witnesses. The story itself has a lot of elements of a typical urban legend and is kind of hard to believe, but through my research I found that it's all loosely based on a true story. In 1970, a couple was parked in a driveway close to a bridge on Colchester Road in Fairfax County when suddenly a random guy appeared out of nowhere, yelled at them for allegedly trespassing, and threw a hatchet at their car. Terrified, the couple left the area immediately before they had a chance to get a good look at the guy.
Bubba!
As they reported the incident to the police, they mentioned the guy had been dressed in light-colored clothing and may or may not have been wearing something white on his head. Although the couple never mentioned anything about a bunny in their statement, as soon as the story hit the news, people started claiming that the hatchet thrower had been wearing bunny ears. Pretty soon, rumors of a man in a bunny suit threatening kids in the woods with a hatchet started surfacing all over the DMV area, and as the years went by, the stories got wilder and harder to believe. Over time, the legend of the Bunny Man has become pretty mainstream, with the bridge on Colchester Road even being renamed as Bunny Man Bridge.
What the hell?
As of the uploading of this video, the legend has now been standardized and goes something like this. In 1904, there was allegedly an asylum close to the bridge on Colchester Road. As soon as it was built, a bunch of Fairfax County residents started complaining about the idea of having an asylum full of mental patients so close to their homes, so the authorities supposedly put all the patients in a bus and transferred them to a nearby prison. But on the way to the prison, the bus crashed and all the patients escaped. As the story goes, a few hours later the cops had successfully located and brought back all the patients except for one guy by the name of Douglas Griffin. This is where the legend gets a little weird. Allegedly, the fugitive patient hid in the woods from the authorities for weeks. As the days went by and the cops did everything to find him, rabbit corpses started to appear in the middle of the woods, which led everyone to believe Douglas was eating bunnies to stay alive.
What the
Then, one Halloween night, a group of kids were hanging out near the bridge on Colchester Road when they suddenly saw a blue orb flashing in midair. A second later, they were all strung up like bunnies hanging from the bridge. As the legend goes, if you go to Bunny Man Bridge on Halloween night at midnight, the same
My
thing.
black ass ain't going nowhere with the damn with a bridge named the Bunny Man Bridge. What the hell? Would y'all go to a bridge named the Bunny Man Bridge? I don't even think I'll cross that motherfucker. Man, what the
will happen to you. Obviously, none of this is true, but it just goes to show how much of an impact the story of the Bunny Man has had on mainstream Virginia, DC, and Maryland culture. Nowadays, there's even Bunny Man t-shirts, a Bunny Man horror movie franchise, Bunny Man beer, and everything in between. Needless to say, the area surrounding the railroad overpass near Fairfax Station is now a major attraction for both tourists and...
All I gotta tell y'all, bro, if y'all go to anywhere named the Bunny Man Bridge and you don't think nothing crazy gonna happen, bro, hey, hey, whatever happens, happens, my brother. I'm not going nowhere over there. That's not even something that's possible for me to even do. Like, what the heck, y'all? No. I think as the stories increased, it started becoming less human as it kept going. And as you know, if it ain't human, I can't kill it. So I'm gonna leave it alone. But I love y'all. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all next video. We out. Ugh.